Do you know that there were people in space when the outbreak started on The Walking Dead? And do you know that it is possible that there's a zombie, at least, that stayed there in space and may be there to this day in the story of this universe? Well, I'm talking about the astronaut who communicated with Earth in Fear the Walking Dead, the first spin-off of this show. What happened to him? What is his story? Well, in this video I'm going to tell and explain everything about this story that many people don't remember, and if you want to know, stay here and let's go. Hello everyone who watching this beautiful channel. My name is João Victor and I'm back to talk about the Walking Dead universe again. But now let's talk about some specific story. A very important story that gave us more about this universe. The first time we heard something about outside the planet, outside the Earth. Let's explain everything, but first, don't forget to check the like in this video. It helps me a lot with the promotion. Also, if you like more contents explaining more points about the Walking Dead universe, don't forget to subscribe here. Thank you for the 7,000 subscribers, and let's go, let's explain everything. Yeah, here's the point. Let's start with the explanation because, yeah, we have an astronaut in the universe of The Walking Dead. We have a person who has already communicated in one of the episodes, and it's confirmed. It's not an invention, it's not fake, it seems like a little, but it's real. There is at least one person who was in space when the zombie outbreak on Earth began. The guy was even about to return. So let's go. To explain this, we have to go back to the Walking Dead spin-off, the first spin-off, which is Fear the Walking Dead, that released in 2015. But in the third season of the show, we have the revelation about it, more specifically directed to this character here, Strand, one of the most important characters of Fear the Walking Dead, especially in this point. Many people had already gotten angry with him at this point. At various points in the story, he functions as a villain. I never liked this guy either, but we can't deny that he was very important for the progress of the story in this show. But okay, we are talking about the third season of Fear the Walking Dead, and let's go to the episode 8. At this point, we have Strand back on his boat. With this boat, he saved a lot of characters in this show, and it is from this boat that we have communication with this astronaut, which is not exactly an astronaut. There's a difference, and you will understand in this video. But let's talk about what happened there. In the scene, Strand is there, all defeated, destroyed, when he hears a radio communication, but someone speaking Russian. There, he pays attention, and the guy introduces himself as Russian astronaut named Valery Vaschenko, and I have to say, he's not an astronaut because Russian astronauts are known as cosmonauts. But okay, this cosmonaut starts to talk to Strand in English, and he tells Strand that he's talking to him directly from the International Space Station, the ISS, that he had gone there with the Soyuz mission, which is even a real name, you know, of these capsules, Russian missions, that's the real name. And Strand in the scene goes crazy, trying to understand. He looks up, like, the guy's talking to me from up there, the world has ended. So just from there, he asks the cosmonaut what happened to North America, if he knows anything, any new information. Then the guy replies that he saw from up there the whole world going out, and that this outbreak happened in the whole world, really, all the lights in the world that went out, and he stayed up there alone, watching it. So this is a very important point for the universe of The Walking Dead. We never heard from anyone at this point that this outbreak has reached all continents. We have even heard some similar things, but this conversation with the cosmonaut confirms it for us from a point of view of someone who was outside the Earth, watching everything. So it's a very important conversation, but we have much more. The most interesting part about the guy himself is that he tells us on the radio that he had been on a mission for that long, and that he was almost back when the outbreak began. He reveals that he was 3 days away from returning. So when the outbreak started, there was no way he could come back. He got stuck in there. Another interesting point is that this episode of Fear the Walking Dead, this contact of theirs there, takes place 51 days only after the beginning of the outbreak. Between season 1 and season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead, we don't have too much time jumps. So yeah, when this conversation between Strand and the cosmonaut happened, the outbreak was extremely recent. It even explains why the guy was still there. The guy was there even still with his oxygen stocks, still probably with food stocks, probably running out too. In this case, in the sequence of the scene, we have a nice and relaxed conversation. They talk about music and champagne. Strand says that at least he can be thankful because he got to know the space, something that no one will be able to do ever again. And so the scene continues with some other details in this relaxed conversation until they lose contact. But here's the question: what does he tell Strand about what happened to him and what happened after his speech with Strand? The point is that in the conversation, this cosmonaut seems to have a very sleepy voice, very calm, all that, probably saving oxygen stores, saving his calories even to talk, also emphasizing that he was in his last days, that he was even in his grave. Like, the cosmonaut points out to Strand that he was going to die there. There was no option. He knew that there was no way to get out, that he wouldn't be able to do anything up there. So you can understand that the guy was there, kind, and just waiting for the right moment. So this line indicates that this cosmonaut died. He died in orbit because he had no other solution. He probably died of asphyxiation, shortness of breath. There are no stocks there, oxygen and everything else. When it all started, he must have done a great job in there to reserve as much oxygen as possible so that he could last as long as possible. But at some point, without someone from Earth sending supplies or maintenance, it would all end. So we don't know at what moment he died, but that's what brings us to the point about zombies in space. Working with the idea that everyone was infected, and we don't know at what point in the world it got spread, how it spread, you know, before the outbreak started, it happened, how many days before the outbreak started. Working with this idea, it's quite possible that we have a zombie in space, because it wasn't such a long mission, a mission he hadn't been there for so long. It is possible that he has already been infected or something like that, and as soon as he died there in the space, he turned into a zombie. Like, at this time, in the current situation of The Walking Dead, 12 years since the outbreak started, everyone is worried about Rick, worried about the communities, how the spin-offs will get together, how Daryl and Carol will leave Europe and return to the United States. In these days, when you think about the universe of The Walking Dead, you think about these points. But in fact, there's a possibility that at this point in space, we have a space station spinning there with a zombie inside. Well, I know, there's a possibility that this space station fell back to the Earth, since in real life, the real ISS, it always goes through orbit corrections, and without that, it would fall to Earth in 1 year around. But there's also a possibility that this cosmonaut threw it into space. And so, specifically about the zombie, we know that the decomposition of zombies is very similar to that of living humans. In this story, the zombies don't decompose like corpses. It's confirmed, the zombies don't decompose faster. It takes so long. And yeah, the only other thing we heard about space in The Walking Dead was at the beginning of season 10, which is the first time we've actually seen a scene from space on The Walking Dead, showing the satellite falling there. We see from there, from the space perspective, the fireball descending into the sky and it falling into the forest, leaving flames. Some people may even theorize that this has to do with this guy from Fear the Walking Dead, this cosmonaut. He may have found something to fall, to give a sign, I don't know. Especially because the satellite here, the one that appears in The Walking Dead, it is also Russian. The one that crashed in the forest in season 10. Although it's not supposed to be some part of International Space Station, which is where the guy, the cosmonaut, was. It was a simple satellite. He wasn't on that satellite. But we have more. There could be connections, and so, of course, knowing that we will have a continuation of Tales of the Walking Dead, the anthological spin-off. Years ago, Scott Gimple, the content director of this universe of The Walking Dead, confirmed that this new version of Tales of the Walking Dead will now tell some stories related to things that have already passed in the show. Some things that we know from this show. So please, someone urgently warns AMC to do a story. One of the episodes that will continue there about this cosmonaut. Tell his story, his perspective. Showing from the moment he arrived in the space, like before the outbreak started, how long before the apocalypse he was there, from the moment he discovered and saw the world ending and such. And also showing the moment he talks to Strand on the radio. Sometimes even he talks to other people in the world, until it reaches the moment when he dies there. You can imagine how epic it would be. The scene of the Earth of the lights going out. For the first time in this universe, how rich a story like this would be. An extra story. This would be an extremely interesting story and very crazy to watch. And yeah, there's a possibility that still in these days of this universe of The Walking Dead, we still have a zombie in the space, flying around. And you can ask, this zombie wouldn't have died without oxygen? And I will answer, no. In The Walking Dead, we have some evidence that some zombies do not depend on oxygen. For example, we see cases of zombies that stay underwater, just waiting for someone to pass by. And this video doesn't end here. It's worth mentioning another mention we have about space, but it's not in the main show. It's not about space, but it's related to something that came from the space. In the first season of The Walking Dead World Beyond, the second spin-off from The Walking Dead, we have a Hux flashback scene at the beginning of the outbreak with the military, in which one of them says that he heard that this came from a rocket in space. He heard that this infection, the zombies, came from the space. It's not confirmed, but it's another point that we heard something about the space. And we can think in some future Tales of the Walking Dead episode they can connect these points. I really don't know, but go write in the comments what is your opinion. What do you think about this cosmonaut? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more content about The Walking Dead. Don't forget to check the like in this video. It helps me a lot with the promotion. I'll be back soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.